Kirsten, the Problem Solving Teacher and Teachers Pay Teachers author. One of the things that I started doing in 2021 was I started to read business books, because what a great way to learn about business without going back to college for it and, you know, spending all of that money. As teachers, we're lifelong learners, and reading is really important thing that we teach our students, so why wouldn't it be important for us to practice it? So today I am going to be sharing with you some of the books that I read in 2021, and you can check them out. There'll be links in my show notes so that you can find them a little bit easier. But before I dive into that, if you like my videos, please remember to like and subscribe. Let me know what books you're interested in reading by leaving a comment below, and hit the little notification bell. All right, I read a bunch of books, and by read I mean listen to the audiobook. I have a toddler, and so I don't really have time to sit and read, but when I am walking the dog or something, I can stick an earphone in and I can listen to an audiobook. One of the tips that I suggest is, I got this from Casey Morris, listen to it on double speed or 1.5 speed. I do this with audiobooks and podcasts now. I just started pretty recently. It makes the book fly by, and for me it helps me focus better because I'm not like dazing off into my thoughts. I'm staying like cued into what they're saying because it's going faster. Give it a shot. I started with 1.25 and then I worked my way up, and now when it's on regular speed I'm like, why is this so slow? All right, the first book that I read in 2021 was The 4-Hour Workweek by Timothy Ferriss. This book was just kind of like mind-blowing, that there are people who can run businesses by working 4 hours a week or 10 hours a week, but like very little. Because they get all of the pieces set up in line, they are able to work less. And by entrusting other people to do their jobs, they can work less. There are some great tips in here. One of the most useful productivity tips that they have is batching, where you're doing all like tasks together. Depending on the task, you can batch in different ways. Like for me, some people check their mail every day. I look at it once a week or every 2 weeks. I don't need to look at the stuff any more than that. I can go through it then and pay the bills and move on. So, you know, simple things like that, where you're just doing lots of things at once, like that same task all at once, rather than like a little bit each day. All right. The second book that I read was Eat That Frog, 21 Great Ways to Stop Procrastinating and Get More Done in Less Time. This book was a productivity book. There are so many books about productivity out there, and it's kind of funny. It's pretty fast-paced. It kept me engaged. The best tip that I got from this book is to do the task you want to do the least first. Don't procrastinate and like get other things done and be like, oh, once I get started, I'll do this task. No, like be like, the task I'm going to do today is write YouTube show notes and get it done. Like, don't procrastinate. Just know that that's what's on the schedule and that's what you're going to do, and do it. And by doing that first, when you have the most willpower to do it, you'll be more productive. The next book I read was, it has a really long title, so I'm going to read it. The Year of Less: How I Stopped Shopping, Gave Away My Belongings, and Discovered Life is Worth More Than Anything You Can Buy in a Store by Kate Flanders. This book is kind of like the opposite of what we're doing with TPT. On Teachers Pay Teachers, we're usually trying to earn some extra money to make life a little easier. But this book is all about kind of like giving up all of the extra stuff and simplifying life. It was really refreshing to read, and it also challenged me to do the same in my own life. I did not go to the same extremes as this person, but I did start to, I like shopping. I like shopping for clothes. I like shopping at Kohl's. They give me 30% off coupons. They give me free money to spend there. And instead of continuing to increase my clothing collection. I went through my clothing collection, got rid of a lot of stuff, went through it again, got rid of even more stuff. And also when I instead of like continuing to buy and replace those things, I just waited. Really one of the only clothing purchases I made this year was jeans. All of my jeans had holes in them. I bought jeans. I literally just tried to replace those pants. Shorts. I bought some shorts because I needed some new ones. The ones I had were starting to literally fall apart. So it's more about challenging yourself to think hard about what you're purchasing and if it's something you really need or just something you want, to trying to stay within keeping and taking care of the things you have rather than just replace them. Can you repair them? Do you really need a new one? Do you need to spend that money? So it was just more of a personal development book than a professional book. The next book I read was Lean In, Women in the Workplace and the Will to Lead by Sheryl Sandberg. So Sheryl Sandberg is a big-time CEO, and she's worked at a lot of the big companies, including, I want to say she worked at Google and Facebook. It's been a little while since I've read it. This is about gender equality in the workplace. This is about women not apologizing for being successful. It had a lot of good thoughts about gender stereotypes and how we can break them, how we can manage them, how we can, just challenge them in our lives. I definitely recommend reading it. All right, the next book I read, this was another productivity book. I really, really love this book. It was Smarter, Faster, Better: The Transformative Power of Real Productivity by Charles Duhigg. I'm probably saying that last name wrong. He used a lot of different case studies within this book, so he didn't just like tell you how to be more productive. That was more, I have another book coming up that was more like just that. He gave you a case study of somebody who increased productivity somewhere, and then there were like examples of how they did it. So this helps you remember the different concepts that he's talking about and think about how you could apply them to your own life. But some of the examples he gave for productivity were schools, Saturday Night Live, Google, and like so many more. So he kind of dove deep into the businesses and places that were really being productive and doing things smarter, faster, better, and looking at how they did it. And he gave you real life examples of that. The next book I read was Girls Stop Apologizing by Rachel Hollis. So Rachel Hollis is a great author. She's just, the book was amazing and interesting. She talks a lot about the things that she's done in her own life in order to build a big business, and the different challenges she's faced, the different mindsets that she's had to overcome. So this is more of a personal development book, and also a book mostly about mindset and what you're thinking and what you're running through your head and what you're doing can stop your dreams from coming true, and the steps that she went through to do it. I also read Influencer by Brittany Hennessey. So the author of this book, she basically makes contracts with influencers, right? So influencers are the people on social media who say, hey, I love this product, why don't you buy it too? And they influence us to maybe think about purchasing it. And this woman reaches out to people and talks to people about all of those types of things. And she pays them big money to take a picture with a product, make a video, make a social media post. I read this book because part of the social media marketing and being on social media, being part of the greater world of teaching beyond just the people you talk to, is a huge part of building your Teachers Pay Teachers business. And I thought that, I mean, there are teacher influencers out there. There are teachers who get paid big money to post teacher brands. So I thought it would make sense to kind of see what all of that world was about and how things happen there. So if you're somebody who's looking to get way more into social media, it's a good read for you. The next book I read that was The 22 Immutable Laws of Branding by Al Ries. This book was super short. It was super fast. It was a little bit dry. They did use some case studies and that to help make a point. If it wasn't such a quick read, like it was short, it was to the point, I would have probably stopped reading it. There are some things that I was like, ooh, that's so true. That's so true. If you're thinking about your niche and your brand, it is a great book. It can help you really kind of clarify in the greater corporate world how people have niched and branded businesses. So if you're someone who's struggling with that, it's an awesome book. Talk Like Ted by Carmine Gallo. That is an amazing book. So one of the things that I do in my business is I talk to you on YouTube. I want to get better about using social media that way. I'm just not there yet. I don't mind talking to YouTube on camera, but when I think about taking out my phone and creating short clips of talking to everybody, I don't know, it just gets to me. But Talk Like Ted is an incredible book. So if you're somebody who wants to create a course or is doing YouTube lives or just YouTube or any of the live talking platforms, Instagram, Facebook, webinars, it's a really, really good book. It's really interesting. And some of the people that it talks about are amazing. So let me take a step back. If you have watched any TED Talks, if you've listened to any TED Talks, if you've heard about TED Talks and how amazing they are and how much they've impacted people's lives and changed the way people think, this author, Carmine, he looks at why TED Talks are so successful and why they are making such a huge impact on our world, down to the timing of it. About 18 minutes is ideal. And he goes through all of the different, like not all of them, but several of the people who have had really successful TED Talks and tries to gather together for us and dissect them and tell us what makes them successful. So if you are working on talking, it's a great book. The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. So I didn't even realize it until I'm recording now that I read 2 books by this author. The Power of Habit was also amazing. It is all about the habits we make and how those habits, those routines, those cycles, those cues in our life, they determine a lot of things. So it talks about how those habits are made, what those habits are, why they are so impactful on us, and how we can change them. So it goes through all of that, and it was just really great. All right, the next book I read was Think Like a Monk. I actually started this book and then had to stop it because my library loan ran out, and then I finally got to finish it way later in the year. This is a book about mindset. If we control our thoughts in life, if we reframe the negative into positive, it can change our lives. So this author, Shetty, he actually lived in a monastery for, I think it was 3 years. I want to say 3 years, maybe it was 5. And then he came back to live as part of, out of the monastery, as part of the whole world. And he explains the lessons he learned while there and how he has let those lessons impact his life going forward. It is all about mindset in this book. So if you're like, want to work on your mind and your thinking and how you just approach different things in life, it might be a good read for you. All right, The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz. If you haven't heard about this book, I am so happy to be the one to tell you about it because this book is amazing. So this book is about how as adults we so often limit our dreams. We think if I can do this, this, or that, we settle. We don't think we can achieve more, and so we don't. I often talk about this concept with my gymnasts where they will be scared of doing something, and because they are scared of it, because they stop themselves, they've limited themselves and they can't do it. And so this book is just all about that, and how we can make our dreams bigger and bigger and bigger. The next book I read was Unshakable by Tony Robbins. This book is all about personal finance and just the different approaches we can take to getting our finances better under control, managing them, planning for the future, and he makes it seem a lot less daunting than finances seem to be. This was a great read. I really, really enjoyed learning the things I learned, even if I didn't have a full comprehension of them all. And I plan on reading it again so that I can gain a better understanding by rereading. The next book I read was The 30-Day Money Cleanse by Ashley Feinstein, Gerstly. This book was super short. So if you are looking for like a fast, short read about money, it's a good place to start. The biggest takeaway from this book is that we are disconnected from our money and everything is happening digitally, and so we don't realize how much we are actually spending. So it talks about how to do things a little bit more manually rather than automatically and virtually, so that we can start to see where our money's going. And even if you don't want to, if you want to do it virtually still, how you can start to track it manually so that you know where your money is actually going. The other thing that it talks about is everybody says, well, after you pay your bills, you put that extra in savings. And she says the opposite, that put some in savings and then live off of the extra, because otherwise you're never going to have any left. And I've heard that concept other places now, so it's definitely one to consider. All right, so I went through a ton of books here. I wish I had the physical books for you, but I always read audiobooks. If you are looking for a title, if you're looking for a place to go get them, please go to my show notes. The show notes and everything is linked below. Go to the show notes and you will be able to find the all of the titles with links so that you can find them easily and get started on your reading this year. All right, have an awesome day.